Okay guys, so we're going to talk about more keto concepts today because I'm in the gym. Yeah! I friggin' love working out. And I think it's time to talk a little bit, just a wee little bit, about how important it is to time everything in your day to get what? The freaking business. That's what's up. Okay, so let's break it down to waking up, eating your first meal, getting your potential fat snacks, your workout, your de-stressors, when to turn off the damn TV, your computer, or your cell phone. So let's get right on to it. Okay, so here we go. You want to time everything out. You want to get into ketosis. There's a couple things you got to do. Number one, get your ass up when the sun rises. Yeah, you heard me. So, well, you know, some of you guys have night shift jobs, and that is just not possible, which I totally get it. I understand, but I digress. But I'm not talking about the night shift workers. I'm talking about people who can actually wake up at a decent time. Why aren't you doing it? It doesn't matter that you're getting 8 hours of whatever sleep. The timing of your sleep is freaking critical. It's like in that little narrow range of what you cannot mess around with, people. Okay, what else? So you want to get up, and you want to get up when the sun rises, and for most places it's around 6 a.m. Yeah, you heard me correct. The old 6 a.m. That's where you want your body to connect to the circadian rhythm so your cortisol will not be too low in the morning. We want cortisol to wake us up because we're going to get our day going, as other people might say, run from a lion. Okay, what else? Well, if you can, luckily I can, you want to have a fatty protein with a little bit of potassium in your very first meal. And there's reasons why, and sodium. Well, the reason why you want a fatty protein is because they're both dense molecules, and they take a lot of force to digest, which you're going to need more cortisol production to digest your food, because remember, we've got these big pipes that like push food all the way down, and that's what we want, because that is a lot of force, and that is going to spike your cortisol in the right timing. Yay! That's what we want, people, because it is not normal to not be hungry. It's not normal. It's not normal. It's actually really effed up. So get over yourself and relearn. It takes 21 days to change bad habits and relearn how to what? Be hungry in the morning. Well, a lot of that comes down to not eating shite at night. So a lot of you guys that try the ketogenic diet, remember, in the first stage, your body is not keto adapted, and I'm so tired of people using urine strips and going, I'm in ketosis, I got purple. No, you're not. You are not in ketosis. Just because you are registering ketones, that stuff's flushing out of your urine. It's not getting into the cell. You still tired between 1 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon? Yeah? Okay, well, you're not using ketones, because when you were using ketones, and what time is it now? It's energy time. Yeah? And my workout's been almost 3 hours today with the stretching and the diaphragmatic breathing in the middle. But with that said, I'm not hungry. Nope. I had my first breakfast at 6 a.m. with a shite load of freaking fat. Like, you have no idea how much fat. I probably eat almost 100 grams of fat just in my breakfast. Okay, so with that said, from there, I do a lot of work, and I talk to a lot of you guys out there in the stratosphere, and I get a chance to go to the gym after I work. When I go to the gym, I'm gonna hit it. I'm going to do my own version of high intensity interval training, because I can't run, because my knee is busted. You can't see it right now, but that sucker is janked up. I mean, it is broken times 1,000. But I find ways to do it with my upper body, like with pull-ups and such, or dips. Dip on the dip bar, way over there, somewhere in the back. But anyway, so after I work out, so I go through my workout, and my body's starting to access my body fat, because my style of intermittent fasting is get up, eat a very dense, oh, I forgot, the potassium comes from the spinach, and we need to up our potassium because it is often said that we are low in potassium. So I'm going to jack up my potassium by using spinach and avocados. Something around maybe 4 cups of spinach a day, and a whole avocado will suffice. But even more if you can. Here we go. So with that said, I've got my spinach. I've got Himalayan salt because we want our electrolyte balance. Oh, I gotta ride my bike home, and it's about to freaking pour outside. No! I guess I'm gonna get wet today. And that's another thing. I got a car, but I ride my bike because that's when I'm reflecting. Okay, here we go. So you have your spinach, you have your fatty protein, and that can be eggs, bacon, uncured, whatevers. Don't do pork, do turkey, and stop complaining. Dense, fatty proteins. Okay, after that, with some spinach, and some butter, some grass-fed butter, and some coconut oil, because I don't like a fatty tea with that, because I'm going to jack my fats up real freaking high, as high as I can go, because then I'm going to get intermittent fast in the afternoon. But you guys shouldn't do it because you're not highly keto adapted. And this chickadee, she's been doing this 5 years with no refeeds, highly adapted. Okay, so I can intermittent fast, and you cannot. How do you like them apples? Okay, so after that, you want to, what else? You want to go, now some of you who are not adapted, you might want to have a mid-morning snack if you're getting up at like 4 a.m. or 4:30. You got to remember, your body doesn't know how to access its own body fat yet. It's still going back and forth, glucose, ketones, and that's when you find people who on their glucometer have like a ketone over 0.5, but their glucose is still over 80. We don't want that. That's not highly adapted. We want the glucose under 80, or under, I think it's like 3 points or 4.0 millimolars in your glucose for the rest of the world out there. But then you want to keep introducing fat into your body because your body doesn't want to give up its commodity, you guys. You have to freaking eat a lot of fat. It is what it freaking is. You cannot get around the need to eat a shite load of fat. Because when your body's ready to let go of its own body fat, then you have to introduce fat. Because if you still are doing, I meet a lot of people who are doing low fat and like, it looks like a lot of, low carb, and it looks like a lot of fat to them. But when I look at their charts, their meal charts that they fill out, no, it's not enough fat, guys. You gotta jack that shite really, 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 really high. Then, once your body sees that you are replacing the glucose with fat, then eventually you go from glucose to ketones to glucose to slowly your glucose drops, and voila, you start to use those ketones. So how do you know you're in ketosis? Because you got energy for days, and I can work out, and I'm not hungry. That's another huge sign, is that the hunger is like, the energy is up, the sleep is like shabam or shazam, and you notice that your hormones are normalizing. Okay, so with that said, working out. When's the best time to work out? Well, to the circadian rhythm, probably about 11 a.m. Well, who the frack can work out at 11 a.m.? Not that many people. So then I say, anywhere from when you wake up, which is kind of hard on the body because you're getting up straight from sleeping, but it is better to work out in the morning, and you will produce more ketones if you work out in the morning to about 2, maybe 3 o'clock, but more like 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And then your body's not having a delayed response of producing ketones too late, or cortisol, my bad. And that's another thing, you guys. Your liver is going to produce ketones later in the day, but that doesn't mean you're in ketosis. When you're in ketosis, the ketones are elevated in the morning on an empty stomach, fasted, the time of the day that is most difficult to produce ketones. So, you want to get your workout in before 2 p.m. 1400. That's what we want. If you do that, then that delayed onset of cortisol is not going to happen. And I've been coaching a shite boatload of people. A lot. Let's just say a lot. And I've come to understand that anybody with metabolic derangement, which most people have, if you work out late in the evening, cortisol spike, can't sleep, then you have interrupted sleep, you don't hit the fifth level of sleep, and you experience the early morning dawn's effect with spiked glucose, which is not good because we don't want to be insulin resistant, we want to be insulin sensitive. Oh, I like the song. I'm such a dork. Okay, guys. Then after you have your, let's say, morning workout, you're going to have lunch. Stop pushing lunch too late and stop skipping lunch, because remember, you need that fat in. And you don't want to eat all your protein in one meal, because if you have too much protein in one meal that your body cannot digest and use, guess what? Your glucose spikes and your body won't produce ketones. Because remember, if you have too many if you have too much glucose in the blood, I am so distracted. All this stuff going on behind me, and I'm trying to do this keto video. If you eat too much protein in one meal, which is the problem with people who eat one meal a day, try to fast, like they get jacked. And then they eat so much protein, and then their body goes through this gluconeogenic effect, and they're just ruining their adrenals. Which I just did videos on the adrenals. Yo, check it out. If you have a hard time getting to ketosis, it's your adrenals. 99% of the time, your adrenals are screwed, and you screwed those adrenals a long time ago. So stop trying to be like, oh, I've done everything perfect, and then get depressed because you are not in ketosis. You have to heal your adrenal glands. Period. End of discussion. That is the reason why your glucose is high. That is the reason why your sleep sucks. That is the reason why you're sleepy in the middle of the day. And the timing of your food, and the timing of your exercise, and your diaphragmatic breathing is everything. Okay, guys, you want to have your dinner cut off by 6. I mean, really, because it doesn't matter that you have a night job. It's about the circadian rhythm, you guys, right? So when the sun goes down, that's when you should have your last meal. Yes, on the first stage of keto, which is probably the first 3 to 6 months, you have to eat 3 times a day. And some people are like, right now are going like, what? I'm ready to fast. Well, if you're not metabolically deranged, you might be ready to fast within 3 months. You might be. And sometimes you got to do a little bit of that old experimentation of what's going on. Shabam, 47, 5 years, no repeats. Refeeding creates food addictions, guys. Pick a side. Do keto or not do keto, but do not do cyclic keto, because that's a bunch of BS. I feel like just dancing, being silly. Okay, anyway, where are we? We're almost done. Okay, so we've got all of our meals, and I actually suggest a fat snack in the very beginning, the first stage of keto. Jack those fats up high by eating a fat snack, not a protein snack, because protein is very sensitive. We're eating moderate protein, guys, not high protein. And if you find yourself still hungry, you might not be eating enough fat and gorging on too much protein. So what else? You want to get yourself to bed no later than 10 p.m. because in that first 90-minute cycle is when you get the business. Yeah, that's when you get the business, guys. That first 90 minutes of sleeping between 10 and 12 is when your body gets set up to release growth hormone, to repair, and that is the reason why you cannot eat after your last meal around 6 p.m. because we want an empty stomach at night. Why you guys fast in the morning with coffee is a bunch of junk. This bulletproof coffee is a bunch of ass. Stop doing it. A lot of you guys who've got metabolic derangement, tyrosine issues, freaking adrenal issues, you think that you are in ketosis because you're putting fat in your coffee? You're not. It's very smart. Coffee is an appetite suppressant. Then when you put fat in the coffee, yes, you have an appetite suppressant, but you're not in ketosis. You're supposed to be eating. So you just become more hypoglycemic and more jacked. And what happens? Your adrenals become hijacked, like a freaking hijacked plane. Don't do that stuff. Get off of it. Do herbal tea. Get rid of the caffeine because that stuff is ruining your adrenal glands. And you're not methylating properly. Okay guys, so we got dinner, we got breakfast, we got snacks. The afternoon snack is probably between probably 2 and 4, around 3 p.m. You want to have a fat snack. You want to have a fatty tea. You want to have a half of avocado. You want to have coconut. You can have MCT oil or coconut oil, or you can have chia pudding or something like that. But no pork rinds, no protein snacks. Whew. Well, guys, that was really it. I'm in the gym and I'm working out. And I thought, you know what? I just need to cover a day and the timing. But everything's indicative of the circadian rhythm, and we just ran out of time. Peace out.